Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a tank that I love so dearly, which is the VZ11114, which is Chinese Tier 9 heavy tank. Now, for those of you new to the channel, what we do is we take a game that I did fairly well in and dissect the reasons as to us playing well, or I point out some of the mistakes that I made during the game. Now, first things first, Swamp used to be quite a different map when it was first released. It was pretty campy, you couldn't get to any flank relatively quickly, and it just was a sniping fest across the middle. But now the developers have changed this map significantly. There have been a lot of areas that have opened up. So in reality, this map is quite different than what it used to be. And it has to be played differently than it was originally. If you are wondering what you should do in a medium or a heavy tank, I would suggest just take your tanks. If you spawn north, take your tank northeast. If you spawn south, take your tank southwest. And generally, once you kill any of the enemies on the respective flanks, you can come back in the middle and slug it out and see who succeeds. This is basically what I'm gonna do in this game right here. Now I take my very first shot of damage in the game, and that's from the A44 camping in the back. That brings me on to the second point. Once you have actually secured this corner, do not proceed out of this corner directly towards the enemy's spawn or the enemy's capture flag. The primary reason for that is there will be campers in the back, TDs, and they will just shave half your HP when you're doing it. And generally what you want to do is once you secure this corner, you just want to proceed back into the middle and play your game from there accordingly. Now some of these shots were just fairly straightforward. The IS-6 decided to move forward. I just put a shot into him. Then the T-49 tries to come over the top to put one shot into me, and he gets taken out by friendlies as well. Incidentally, this corner also provides you excellent RD cover. So if you have a lot of RD on the enemy team, you can always come to this corner if you spawn south and take cover from RD as well. Now that I realize that there's no more shots to be had where I'm situated, it's time to relocate. And like I said, instead of going forward into the enemies that are camping in the back and are held down in front, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to turn around and go through the middle and take out any tanks in the middle first, and then proceed from that point onwards. Now the biggest threat on the enemy team to my tank initially when we started playing this game was the T10. Just because the T10 has very good penetration, it's a very mobile tank. It's basically an equivalent to the VZ111 in almost every respect, except his gun is a little bit more reliable and hits not as hard as the VZ's gun. But here we take out the T10, who was caught in a very awkward situation. Again, I try not to poke in front of him and lose HP. Instead, what I try to do is I go around and put a shot in his rear. Unfortunately, we do not kill him, but he gets taken out anyways by friendlies. Now with that flank secured, what we are going to do is we're going to turn around and secure the other flank that's along the 09 line. And that's because generally tanks from the enemy team have broken through and start pushing into our cap, so you want to go there as fast as you can to fend them off. Now there was only one tank that was actually close to our cap, and he gets taken out. So what I do is I spot him in the middle and start shooting at targets that have been lit. First target is a fairly low health tank, and I take him out relatively easily. Next up, our target is going to be the T-54E1, which is actually has proceeded within our side of the map, and to do that I will have to go down and actually put shots into him. So once I'm down there, I'm lucky that the T-54E1 is actually not looking my way, or I could have lost somewhat HP because he would have had my side. And so what I do is I plant one shot squarely into him, and if you see by his reaction that he starts moving forward, that generally signifies to me that either he's not reloaded or he was in the process of reloading. So at first I decided that maybe I could put another shot into him, but I see there's a tank behind him covering him. So instead of going forward as I do initially, I start backing up into the corner to not take more shots. Now the T-54E1 turns around to deal with me, and it's pretty obvious from how he's moving that he's reloaded by now. At first I tried to take a shot at his turret, but the T-54E1's turret is fairly unevenly angled, and so it's pretty likely that I'll bounce him. And second shot I get fairly lucky is I am aiming for this little part on top of the T-54E1, which you can call the commander's hatch, and I actually managed to hit it and pen it, and that takes out the T-54E1 for us. Now instead of pushing forward into the enemy's base, what I'm going to do is turn around and help my teammates that were on the 1-2 line, because it seems like they have been unable to fend off whatever was there. And to do that, I'm going to take the safer way around, which is the longer way through near our own cap and back into the middle. Now here is where one of the other really nice features about the VZ111 comes in handy, and that is its amazing speed for a heavy tank. You can easily relocate super fast, or I shouldn't say super fast, but fast enough to a given corner to assist your teammates in need. And this is precisely what I'm gonna do. But before I get there, I'm gonna respond to their request for help. Generally, if somebody says help, if you're gonna respond, just saying affirmative generally helps them sort of like know that yes, you see the situation, and then yes, you're going to go and do something about it. Now unfortunately, by the time I get to that flank, the two friendly tanks that were actually defending actually are taken out by the enemies, and at this point it is just essentially me and versus 3 tanks. The 2 Yak Tigers have still not relocated to help me, and so it's gonna be a tough fight. Now there's a full health T-30, and I'm fairly full health, but he has 2 more people helping him. And at this point, if they had just decided to rush me, I would have lost significant HP, or they would have waited for the T-30 to get into place. I would have lost a lot of HP, but they didn't, and they decided to poke out and try to take shots or exchange shots with me. Now I know that I'm in a bad spot, and I see that Yak Tiger is moving on the minimap to assist me, so instead of pushing forward, I actually push back in order to lure the enemy team into the firing arc of the Yak Tiger, who is coming to help me. Now at this point, the threat of the Yak Tiger basically keeps the T-30 from coming over the top and putting a shot into me. And at this point, I need to just start getting rid of tanks quickly, just because there aren't that many tanks, but there's 3 guns versus 2, and though we can take them out, and in theory we have superior guns, but the fact that there's 3 of them can still mean trouble for both of us. Not to mention the T-30 could actually pen the Yak Tiger superstructure fairly easily with his AP rounds, let alone his ABCR rounds. So that's not even a guarantee that since we have superior guns, that we are going to be around that much longer. So now at this point, I completely forget the A-44 that was still camping in the middle. I kind of like knew where he was last spotted, that he was still there, just because he actually killed one of our friendlies right in front of the ramp when I was dealing with the T-54E1. So that was a mental error right there. Also, I go over the top to take one shot at the T-30 just because he has a 17-second reload, and I know there's just no way he can reload fast enough to put one shot back into me since he is fired. This also reduces the HP of the T-30 and makes him a little less aggressive than he would be otherwise. Now at this point, the T-30 is fairly low health, and what I'm trying to do is distract him while the Yak Tiger moves up. And what that does is, since the T-30's turret burst is so slow, he has to pick shots between me or the Yak Tiger, and by the time he points his gun back towards the Yak Tiger and realizes he's there, he should have easy shot trying to take him out. Now with him taken out of the game, there's only 1 tank left, the A-44, and essentially I basically just blow my shots on him. Just, I don't know, I mean, sometimes this gun just does not like to behave, and this was just one of those instances. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and stick around for post-game stats, and I'll see you on the next episode of playing World of Tanks.